Good evening, everyone. My name is Briti Torres. On this day, I stand before you to shed light on a topic that is often cast into the shadows. Despite its critical significance, mental health is something that is often swept under the rug. With everything that goes on in the world, it is easy to ignore our own minds and put aside our own thoughts, which doesn't give us time to think about anyone else's thoughts or minds. However, I stand here to speak about a group of individuals that are not heard from as much, which would be our men across the world. I will express why prioritizing mental health is not only important to understand, and how equally important it is to spread awareness on how we can help. Understanding mental health. Mental health is one of those topics that influences our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Our mental health, whether we like it or not, affects how we feel, think, act, and see situations in our everyday life. Mental health is a state of well-being that allows people to live their lives in a healthy manner. Mental health is a right that every living human has, and it is important for living a healthy life. In an article by the World Health Organization, it is mentioned that mental health conditions include mental disorders and psychosocial disabilities, as well as other mental states associated with significant distress, impairment in functioning, or risk of self-harm. People with mental health conditions are more likely to experience lower levels of mental well-being, meaning mental health is not always associated with mental disorders and psychosocial disabilities, but can be linked with substance abuse, genetics, and childhood. Men's mental health. Now that we have established and got an understanding of what mental health is and what can cause a person's mental health to shift, it brings us to our next topic, which is our men's mental health. It is known that mental disorders affect both men and women, but women are more likely to receive help for mental disorders than men. In an article by the National Institute of Mental Health, they mention men are also more likely to die by suicide than women. According to the Center for Disease and Prevention, it is also known that men are less likely to receive treatment for mental health than women. The National Institute of Mental Health mentions men are less likely to receive mental health treatment than women in the past year. Men have a difficult time being vulnerable and opening up and would rather bottle up their feelings. Toxic masculinity. This brings us to toxic masculinity in mental health of men. When men are boys, they are told to get up when they fall or suck it up when they feel like crying because men aren't supposed to cry. I grew up with a brother and he was raised differently than I was. I was allowed to cry when I was hurt or when I was emotional. When comparing my brother's childhood to my own, my brother was told to suck it up when he was hurt or suck it up when he was going through a breakup. Men are less likely to seek help from mental health professionals. My brother was diagnosed with depression at 17 years old and had to be given medication. It took my brother 2 years to finally seek help for his mental health. Men don't prioritize their mental health because they feel shame and embarrassment. Men grow up with this mentality and bring it into their adult lives. They bring it into their relationships and pass it into their own sons. In an article by the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, they state, other reasons that may impact a man's mental health journey are culture, fatherhood, race, and social-economic status. These stigmas are real and deeply affect men, as nearly 1 in 10 men experience depression, or anxiety, but less than half will receive treatment, and more than 4 times as many men die by suicide every year. It is also said that men are more likely to follow through suicide and show fewer warning signs and are likely to use things like guns to take their lives. Mental health in the workplace. Men are more likely to spend most of their week at work. Mental health affects their performance and motivation. There are many things that can influence a mental state. The workplace can be a reason why a man's mental health is affected. Whether the job is remote from home, far away from home, or in the office, it is known to cause distress in one's life. A job that is not talked about as much that can often affect mental health is the military. It is commonly known that the military requires men to be away from their families for a long period of time. My husband is in the military, and before we were living together, we were away from each other for 6 months. He said almost everyone he knew had something going on mentally due to being away from their families for so long. He mentioned that he was very grateful he had me to help him get through those hard months, but others were not so fortunate. According to the Defense Department, suicide among active duty service members increased by more than 40% between 2015 and 2020, and the numbers went up by 15% alone in 2020. The importance of awareness and support. Fortunately, people are starting to recognize the importance of mental health and are encouraging men to reach out. Resources are being offered to men all across the nation. Man therapy is new and open for any man that is willing to seek help. The Face It Foundation gave men the help they need to face depression. 1 in 6 goals is to help men who have faced unwanted or abusive sexual experiences and help them live longer. The military is offering help for those in need of help. The Brandon Act was introduced due to the death of U.S. Navy Petty Officer 3rd Class Brandon Costera. Brandon Costera died by suicide in 2018. They passed this act to protect the health of military members who experience concerns with their mental health and allow them to seek help whenever they'd like. It is important to be aware of the warning signs in mental health disorders in men. The ADA adds symptoms that signify when a man needs help. The signs include escapist behavior, such as spending a lot of time at work or on sports, physical symptoms such as headaches, digestive problems, and pain, misuse of alcohol or drugs, controlling, violent or abusive behavior, anger, irritability or aggressiveness, risky behavior such as reckless driving, noticeable changes in mood, energy levels or appetite, difficult concentrating, feeling restless or on edge. It is important to reach out to our husbands, fathers, and sons to make them feel heard and encourage them that it is okay to feel blue or even cry what they need. Thank you.